This conference will now be recorded.
Very poor attendance today. Am I audible, guys? Hello? 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 Am I audible, guys? Hello? Hello? Any one of you? Sarija? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So very poor attendance today. Didn't expect it. I think people will join, but only three. Siva, Sai, Sailaja. Hmm. Seems people will not join even if we wait. Okay, Navya has. Okay, fine. We'll start and we'll see if others join later. So, for those who get confused yesterday, in case I have just removed the entire code and I'm going to start it again. Okay. See, when you are using the same view for multiple purposes, the chances will be little, not too much, little high that the view will will get little scrambled or little override uh, with the other fragment or other UI elements. So the chances are there. Okay, when always remember when you are using the same view for create, edit, display, delete. So for all these purposes, okay, then definitely you need to be extra cautious. We can also segregate each view, like create my, I will take a separate view, display, I will take a separate view, edit, I will take a separate view. Yes, you can do that. But that is not a very efficient way of doing the things. Why? Because for create and edit, is there any difference in the view? The create will have label and input field, but the input fields will be empty in case of create. So let me put all these things here. So create screen will have label and input field, but values are empty, correct? Now edit screen should have label and input fields, but values are filled because you are editing, so you should show already existing employee details. Now coming to display, should have label with a combination of text UI element, but values means text are filled, right? Now this is the create mode, this is edit mode, this is the display mode. So three modes are possible: create, edit, and display. So just for the differences, if you see the differences here, this is the label and text combination, this is label and input only. So here the values are empty, but in these two cases values are filled. Now this is the difference. Now for this difference, if you are creating a separate view, create a separate view, edit separate view, and if you go and see what is the code inside the create, it is label and input. Here also label and input. That means you are duplicating the code. You are simply duplicating the code. and that is not one of the best programming approach. Correct? And that is the reason we are going with a single view, that is view 2. Where is view 2? We are going with a single view 2 with a panel as a container, and inside this panel container we are going to load the corresponding screen by using fragments. So I'm keeping this label and input and label and text in a separate fragment. I'm calling this label and text as a display fragment. I'm calling this as a create or edit fragment. You can call this as create fragment or edit fragment, because for create and edit we have label and input only. So in the name also you can write employee edit or create kind of thing. Okay, so edit we are using for create also, because you need to understand that both have label and input fields only. So clear, guys? I removed yesterday's code just to make sure you understand clearly from the beginning. Okay, all right. From the view one controller, there are two options for us. Employee can, the end user can click on create employee. For when you click on create employee, also he will come to view two. When you click on the row, when you press the row, then also he will come to the view two. So this is also very clear for us. If you simply click on create employee, what we are doing in the view one controller, let's open and see. In the view one controller, where is this? Yeah. When you click on the create employee, we are going to the view two, but the key we are passing is a static string, that is new employee, because new employee does not have the key. But if you click on the row, so from the row we are picking up the employee ID and passing the employee ID as a key. So with this, when I reach the view two controller, I can easily know whether he clicked on the create employee button or he clicked on the row. For example, if he clicked on the row, then this employee ID will be some number, some 100001 or 100002. If we click on the new employee, then definitely employee ID will be new employee, correct? Now, basing on this particular fact, we can load the fragments. Okay, but before that, we need to do the bind element, because if it is when you click on the press row, when you press the row, you need to supply that row's data to this view. So this dot get view dot bind element I have done in case of the else statement, but I have not done in case of if condition. Okay, all right. And now what we are going to do is we are going to write a separate function to load which fragment in this panel. In the view 2, we have this panel. Now inside this panel, we need to load the simple form with a label or text label or input field. Now which fragment? So this fragment or this fragment, which fragment I need to load? So this one, what I'm going to do is we'll take a variable called this dot mode, and when you are in the create employee, so let's call this mode as create mode, because new employee means create mode. I'm writing again little fresh logic. Now copy this, Control C, and paste it here. Else means what? This is a display mode, correct? You press on the row, then only you will go to else mode, correct? Else condition. So I'm calling this mode as this dot mode as a display mode, DISPLAY, display. Okay. So I have taken a new variable called this dot mode. So the reason why I'm taking this dot mode, because I want this variable to be global. In other functions also I want to use. I'm filling this dot mode as create, this dot mode as display accordingly. If I have already employee ID, that means I want to display. So this is display, this is create clear. Any doubts in this? Simple logic. Now I will define a function called load fragment, and the only purpose of this function is to load the fragment into the panel, the corresponding fragment into the panel. Okay, this is my panel. I want my panel to be filled with the fragment, some corresponding fragment. Okay, so to this particular load fragment function, I will pass the mode, this dot mode, this dot mode. Why this is showing the error? Comma, where is comma? I didn't kept comma. This is else. This is okay. I didn't place the comma here. Got it. Uh, Something went wrong. Let's do Control Z. Yeah, okay, now the error has gone. Now outside of this, I need to write a function load fragment. Now this is a function. Yeah, and put a comma. Always beautify this code, right? Now into this particular function, this is a function in this controller. I will pass this dot mode. Okay, this dot mode here itself we are getting this problem. Why we are getting this problem? This dot mode. Okay, let's write mode. That is also fine. We'll pass this variable anyway in this. And I will call this function load fragment by passing the mode at the end. Load fragment, this dot load fragment, this dot load fragment, and I will pass the mode. So basically what I'm doing, I'm completely giving, completely handovering the logic to load the fragment in this particular function. Okay, my if and else condition, what it will do, the if and else condition is doing only the bind element, means supplying the data to the view or not supplying the data to the view. Okay, and I declared a variable, global variable called this dot mode, and I'm updating this particular variable as create mode or display mode, because I want to know uh, what is the current mode of this particular screen. So I have taken that particular variable. Okay, right. Now the main thing is writing the logic inside this load fragment function. Ideally, what load fragment function should do, it should check the mode that you have passed. If the mode is create or edit, if the mode is create or edit, in these two modes, you need to load this particular fragment. If the mode is display, then it should load this display fragment. That's all. Okay. And remove the panel content if at all any other fragment is already loaded, then remove the panel content and add it again. Right. So this is what exactly we need to do. So we are completely dedicating that particular purpose to this particular function. So those whoever call this function, okay, in this entire controller, at any place, if I call this particular function, what it does, it takes the mode, current mode as a input, and it checks which fragment to be loaded, and then it will remove the current content of the panel, and load a fresh fragment. That is the exact purpose of that function. Now let's do that. So I'm just checking the mode first. If this particular mode is equals to create, or this can be update. This is the OR condition, guys. So two vertical pipelines. So if you can't find the symbol vertical, so I'm just telling you this is shift plus the key above the enter. So above the enter there is a key vertical line, so that you need to press. So create or edit, in both the cases I'm going to load the fragment called edit fragment. Okay, so for that we write sap.ui.xml fragment, all that stuff. So let's write it. sap.ui.xml fragment, and we need to use this dot get view dot get id. This is the id, and we need to give the path. So let me just take this path from here. So this is the path, and the third variable is this. So loaded the fragment. So this fragment must be assigned to a variable. So I'm calling this as this dot. Uh, this is let's call this as edit fragment. Actually, you can call this as create or edit fragment as well. But just remember, for create and edit, we need label and input field. So that's the thing, right? And to improve the performance, we want to, let's not load the fragment from the back end again and again. So for that, we write a if condition. So this also, so we'll keep if this dot edit fragment. So initially, when it is empty, load this particular fragment. Okay. Now this is what I need to do when I'm in the if condition. So I loaded the edit fragment. Now let's go to the else condition. So obviously else condition means when it is not a create, when it is not edit, obviously it can be a display mode, correct? If you want to write else if, that is also fine. So you can also write like this, uh, else if the mode is display. So mode is equal to display mode. So in this case, I will copy this if condition, I will put it here, and I will call this as display fragment. Display fragment. Copy this, paste it here, and we need to load emp display. That is emp edit, and this is emp display. So loading of the corresponding fragment is over. So we have successfully done the loading of the fragment. But this fragments, so this particular fragment or this particular fragment has came from backend to the front end. So since you loaded the fragments, but they have to be added in this place inside the panel. And how we can do that? So we need to add the content to this particular panel. We need to add the fragments to this panel. To do that, so let's go here and use this dot get view dot by id. So point out to the panel. This is the panel. Point out to the panel and say, boss, remove all content. So if you have any content, first remove it. So once we remove all the content of the panel is empty. Now let us dynamically add the fragment to the panel. So again, point out to the panel and say, so if this is the edit fragment, so we can write this statement outside the if condition, because this if condition we are writing so that the fragment is not loaded from backend again and again. Okay. So outside the if condition, we can simply say this dot get view ID my panel dot add content. So add content this particular fragment. Now, where this if condition is coming into picture, it is just checking is this fragment loaded from the backend or not. If it is already loaded, let's not reload it from the backend. That is what exactly it will do. Okay, from the server basically. If it is already loaded, we are just adding that to the panel. That's all. Now let's copy this statement and rewrite it here. And this time you will say display fragment. That's all. Okay, so the corresponding panel will get loaded by using this reusable function. We can reuse this function in the next coming scenario as well. Okay, so clear guys, what we are doing nothing actually. When I came to the view 2, I'm just checking is the employee ID is new employee. If it is new employee, I'm just updating a global variable called this dot mode equal to create, and else means you click on the row, so that means this dot mode equal to display. So in the display mode, I want the data to be binded, so I have done that, and I want to load my panel with a corresponding fragment. So I call this function load fragment by using this dot load fragment, and I am passing the mode. Okay, so inside this I get the mode. I'm checking which mode it is. So if it is create mode, I'm loading from the server this employee edit fragment. Otherwise, I'm loading display fragment from the server. So loading of this fragment from the server should happen only once. So we are writing this if condition. Okay. And this panel's content I have removed, and I'm adding the fresh content to the panel. Okay. So the logic is good now, but we will get one issue here. So let us run this application and let me show you what is that issue. So let's go back. Now I am clicking on the create employee. So first let me refresh the screen. I'm clicking on create employee. Form is empty. Very good. So I got label and input field. Go back. I click on display. Now the fragment is changed. The fragment is label and text UI element. Very good. This is also fine. I want the data. I got the data. Now go back. Again, I'm clicking on create employee. So ideally what should happen? I should get a fragment when you click on create employee. So create employee means mode equal to create. So obviously you should get edit fragment, means label with a input field. Yes, I am getting label with a input field, but these input fields are filled with the data. These input fields are filled with the data, which should ideally should not happen. It should not happen, correct? New employee means how can the form filled with the some already existing employee data? This is wrong. New employee means always form should be empty. But can anybody guess why this form is already filling with the data when I click on create employee? Anybody? Why this particular form filled with the data? Whereas first time it didn't happen. So if you refresh, so all of you observe guys, first time when I click on create employee, it will not happen. So let's wait. Try to guess. If you can guess, then it means you have, you are keeping your brain in this code. See, when I click on create employee, form is empty. But after I click on the display is fine. And when I click on create employee again, I'm getting the correct label and input field form only, but the data is filled. Ideally, the data should be empty. So why the data is filled? Anybody? Anybody can guess why the data is filled here? The code is in front of you. Just it's a very just 10 lines of code. Just try to guess why this is happening. Why the form is filled with the data. Come on, guys. You should answer at least for some questions that I ask. Normally, I ask very less questions. See, this is the place where you can assess whether how much concept you are understanding. See, understanding the concept is very important, correct? So, any guesses why this is happening? The scenario is in front of your eyes. So, first time when I click on the create employee, form is empty. But after I click on the display, that is when I press the row, I'm getting the data, and after that, I create employee empty form. Even if I click second time also, it is empty form. Even if I click third time also, empty form. But the moment I click the row, from here onwards, this create employee is no more empty form. See, I have shown you this much clearly, it is indirectly an answer.
A display fragment brings data that is not getting clear because of that.
In display format, fragment,
It's bringing data, right? So it's not getting clear when we are clicking on
in
the fragment.
okay, so your answer is when we click on this row, what it is doing, it is
It's bringing the data, and when we are clicking on display, it is bringing all the data, right?
okay, bringing,
So
not
first,
bringing, binding the data. Yeah,
binding the data,
it
yeah.
is
So
bringing the
that's
data.
that.
Yeah, so that data is not get cleared. Yeah, so that's a correct answer, Rahul. So how will once again let me show you here. I click on the row. Let me do a fresh execution. So let it load. I click on create employee. So when you click on create employee, so obviously this if condition get executed. So mode equal to create and this load fragment. So this function is purely loading only your form. Okay, either label with input field or label with text. So the job of this load fragment is only to load your form. Okay, so it is loading label with the input field form. Fine. Now, even if you click second time also, it is doing the same. Even if you click third time also, it is doing the same. Now, the moment you click on the display, what happened? When you click on the display, it goes into the else condition. It is binding the data. Binding the data to whom? Is it binding the data to the form? No, it is binding the data to the view. It is binding the data to the entire view. It is not binding the data to a particular form. If it is binding the data to a only to the display form, okay, or to the create edit form, in that case, this may not happen. We are binding the data to the complete view. So when you have binded, supplied, you supplied the data to the view. And where is your form? Your form is inside the view only. Correct? So once the data is supplied to the view, okay, the data will be there, binded to the view. And now when you go back and click on this create employee, so let's go and see what is there in this employee edit fragment. This fragment gets loaded, right? When you are in the create mode, employee edit fragment gets loaded. Now this employee edit fragment is already having input fields with value bindings. value bindings. And this employee ID is already supplied to the view, so you are getting the values. You are getting the values. If you do not have this value bindings, then the form will be empty again. Let's say you do not have this value binding. Let me remove it. Okay. I want you to understand the concept, so I am removing this value binding for employee ID. Now let us see. I click on create, first time empty anyway. Click on display. So this is fine. Now go back. Again, click on create employee. Now all the values are filled but not employee ID. Why? Because I removed this value binding. But by the way, do you know why I kept this value bindings? Why I kept this value bindings? I can remove these value bindings, right? So that the form is empty. I kept these value bindings because I'm using this employee edit fragment not only for the create scenario but also for the edit scenario. Once you come to this particular screen, once you come to this particular screen, today we are going to keep edit, display, create all these buttons with a save button. 4 buttons we are going to keep here. Now, when the form is in display mode and when I click on the edit, I want a form with a label and input field, and those input fields should be filled. Those input fields should be filled. Getting my point? So that is the reason I have written the value bindings here. Now, what is the solution? The solution is two solutions are there. One is, again, cleanly separate. This is edit fragment. So similarly, you create one more fragment called create fragment. This is edit fragment. This is display fragment. Another one is create fragment. In the create fragment, again, you need to keep only the simple form with label and input fields only. But since its purpose is only to create, no value bindings are required. No value bindings required. This is one solution. Okay, so in the view to controller, as of now, for create and edit, in both of these cases, we are loading this employee edit fragment. Now what happens? One more if and else if condition will come into picture. When it is create, you purely load create fragment. When it is edit, you purely load edit fragment. So basically, the create fragment will have label and input fields. So input fields will have no value bindings. No value bindings. Edit fragment. So edit fragment will have label and input fields with value property bindings. And display fragment obviously will have label and text. So with text property bindings. So this is one solution. Okay, cleanly separating if you want. So let's say, boss, Rizwan, I don't want to get confused this much. Okay, so I will take 3 fragments. That is also fine. Clean separation. This is called very clean separation. For create, I will take label and input field, but for the input field, I will not write any value bindings. That means, where is my create? Yeah. So the fragment will be like this. Okay. The fragment will be like this for all of them. For all of them, it will be empty. And for edit, value bindings will be there. So which is nothing but this one. This is already edit one. And display, we already have the display one. So let me show you display one as well. This is label with a text bindings. So like this, you can separate cleanly 3 fragments. But you can also do, even though the value bindings are there, still you can achieve this scenario with 2 fragments itself, with these 2 fragments itself. How? Now I'm going to write a magical statement in the create, and that is this dot get view dot Instead of saying bind element, there is a reverse of that, and that is unbind element. Now, what this unbind element will do, in case previously if any data is binded to the view, you remove it. Now this dot get view dot unbind element I am writing in the create mode. So in case the user previously went into the display mode and came back, now he is going to the create mode. The data is unbinded. We are removing the data. So since the data is removed from the view, even though these value bindings get executed, since the data itself is not binded to the view, removed from the view, from where you will get the data to the value bindings. So values will be empty. So this is one simple solution instead of going for a 3 separate fragments. Clear? Now let us see if this solve our problem. So what we are doing, initially, let's say you came to the display mode, you are binding the data. If you go to the create mode, you are unbinding the data. So form will be empty. That's all. Very simple solution. Now let's execute. Now click on create employee, empty form, display, filled form. Again go back, create employee, empty form. Solve. Go back, display, filled form. Go back, create employee, empty form. So I saved one fragment. Instead of creating a separate fragment with a label and input fields with no value bindings, because see, if I create a new fragment, again same, right? Label and input, label and input. That means you are duplicating the code just for value bindings. Here no value bindings, here with value bindings. But I have seen the developers, few developers go with that because they don't want to, over confuse themselves. Okay, but I have chosen this approach. This dot get view dot unbind element. Okay, so it's up to you. I'm just keeping you all the options uh, in front of you, so that when you go to the real time, so you can choose whatever the option that you want. Yeah. The next thing is we need to play with the buttons. So this is the panel. The panel has a header toolbar. So here we need to create 4 buttons. So one is edit, and we need to control the visibility of these buttons. First button, edit button. Second button, display button. Third button, create button. We are going to create, edit, display and delete all of them in this single view. Okay, so you are fortunate that I started this entire behavior on the second screen only for this batch. In all my previous batches, separate screens are there. So you got an opportunity to see this complete thing, because in my current project it is implemented in the same way. Now let's go to the view 2, and now I need to create this buttons here. So how can you create it? It is exactly like your table's header toolbar. So it's header toolbar. Now let's create a title. Sorry, toolbar. Header toolbar is a aggregation, that is subpart. Now inside this subpart, I am creating a toolbar. Now inside the toolbar, you have the title UI element. In the title, you can give some text, employee details, something like that. This one you can. So instead of keeping the same, maybe you can change this title. Yeah, we'll think about the title later. And then we need buttons. So I want the buttons to be at the end of the header toolbar. So I will be writing toolbar spacer. So toolbar spacer and then buttons. So nowadays the trend is instead of giving the text, we give only the icons. So there is a trend, hyphen icon colon slash slash edit button. So for edit, I'm going to give a blue color, and then let's keep all the buttons here. Control C, Control V. This is create, or I think for create, we'll see, we'll decide the icon. Maybe I'm giving add, and then I want a display. So this is display, and I want a save button. So let me write save. So for save, I'm giving a green color, and there should be a cancel button. So all 5 buttons, my dear friends, cancel button. This is fine. So taking care of this visibility, this is also little confusing, guys, but you don't need to confuse that much. It is just setting the property of visible by using setter method. So you already know dynamically changing UI element behavior. So that is what we need to do. That's all. So this is ID button edit. Let me copy this. This is add button, and this is display button, and this is uh, ID button. This is save, and this is cancel. So you need the IDs because you need to set the visibility dynamically. So I'm going to the icon explorer meanwhile. Icon explorer SAP UI file. I need to choose some icons from here. Yeah, so come from the beginning. So edit icon, I think. So edit icon is fine. Add employee icon. So let us see. This is add. I think this symbol is better because add an employee, right? So this is good. Let's copy this and let's put it here. Add employee or this, yeah. And what else? So this is edit button. This is create button. This is display button. This is save, and this is cancel. So cancel. This button does not looks nice. So we'll do one thing. Reset. Yeah, we'll use this icon. Reset for cancel. Yeah. Now I kept all the 5 buttons on the screen, but all these 5 buttons should not appear at a time. Correct? All the 5 buttons should not appear at a time. Okay, let us take scenario by scenario. Okay, first scenario. Scenario number 1. Guys, when I click on create employee, this is my first scenario. So ideally, when a create scenario page comes, what are the buttons the end user will expect? Can anybody tell? I'm in the create employee screen. Now tell me what buttons you will expect. Do you expect the edit button? Do you expect a edit button in the create screen? Come on, answer, guys. Are you there? Hello.
Only save button is needed, sir.
Save and cancel.
Cancel, yeah.
Okay.
Save
Save
button.
and cancel buttons you can expect from the create screen, and all the other buttons you should hide. Okay.
Yes.
So this is what exactly you need to write in your code basing on the mode that you have come. So in the Vue2 controller, I'm going to write another function, and that is handle button visibility, handle buttons visibility. So initially all the buttons are visible, right? Now basing on the mode, you need to change the visibility of these buttons. I have written another function, handle button visibility, and I will call this uh, from these functions. So this dot handle visibility, and I am supplying this mode to this function. I am supplying this dot mode to this function. So let me copy this, and I will do the same. So mode equal to display. I updated this variable, and immediately I'm calling handle button visibility. Now inside this function, I will get the mode. I will get the mode. Now you need to do pure if and else conditions. If mode equal to create, mode equal to create. Now you only told me when you are in the create scenario, what are the buttons should be visible? Only save and cancel. All the three buttons should be invisible, right? So when you are in the create mode, so make only those buttons to be visible and all the remaining buttons invisible. So here the best practice is to make all of them invisible first, and then basing on the mode you make them visible. So that is a best practice. Okay, because you really don't know which in which mode you will get into. One second guys, the laptop is. So let's go to the Vue2 and copy this button. This dot get view dot by id of the UI element dot set visible false. So I want to make all the buttons invisible first, because I really don't know in which mode I will be after complete application is developed. So I don't know in which mode I will be. So first I will hide all the UI elements, and then basing on the mode, I will just show only those UI elements. Okay. So this is edit. This is ID button add, and then this is ID button display, and then this is ID button save, and this is ID button cancel. So I need to write one more statement. So let me save that ID here, then copy, then paste it, remove this ID and put it here. So all my 5 buttons are there, all of them I made set visible false. And so here also, why to show them initially? So here also you just make them visible false. Why to show them initially? Basing on the mode, they will appear. Some people may get a doubt. Rizwan, you are making all of them invisible in the view itself, then is there any reason to keep all of them invisible again by using this set visible property? So why to make these 5 statements? The reason is, once I enter the screen, I can click on this create, edit, any, I can go into the create mode, come back and then go to the display mode. So all these things are possible. So if you do not set visible all of them before you actually set the visibility, then do you know what happens? Exactly something like this will happen. So bind element, unbind element. So whenever you enter the screen, if you are in the edit mode, you need to bind the element. If you are in any other mode, you need to unbind the data. So since we have not done that, once the person go to the display mode, okay, the data is already binded. Once the data is binded, you are not removing it again. Okay, so again, same scenario we will end up if you do not clear the visibility. Okay, maybe you are in the create mode, but you went back. Since you are in the create mode, you've shown some buttons and you went back. Now you went to the display mode. The previously in the create mode, whatever the buttons you have shown, set visible true. So those buttons again, it will appear. So that's the reason. Initially, you set all of them to false. Initially, set all of them to false, right? Okay, so now this is create mode. So in the create mode, you said save and cancel to be true and all of them to be false. So this is true and this is also true. That's all. Again, what is the next scenario? Display, right? Else if the mode is display, mode equal to display. Now, as a end user, when you are in the display mode, what you will expect? Let me show the screen so that you only will tell me what you can expect. So I think I hide all the buttons. Yeah. So now we are in the display mode. What are the actions we can do? We can do edit, right? We can do edit and save. Edit and save, correct? So here I can show only one button initially, that is edit button. Once he press the edit button, then the save button should appear. Okay, so here slowly the complexity is increasing. Okay, so initially when you are in the display mode, only the edit button should appear, only edit button. Okay, on press of the edit button, the screen should change and then the save and cancel buttons should appear. Okay, scenario by scenario you need to understand, guys. If you go all of them at a time, you will get confused. Okay, so when I'm in the display mode, when the mode is display, now only edit button should appear and all of them should, where is the edit button? This is the edit button. Now you keep this edit button as set visible false, sorry, true. Okay, all right. Now let us see how it looks. So I clicked on this and you can see the edit button. Okay. If you want to do delete action also, you can keep a delete button also here, guys. You can delete this employee straight away from this icon. So that is also possible. You can keep a delete button here. So in the display mode, there are two options always. One is edit the employee or delete this employee. So either thing you can do. Okay, so we can also, there is a chance that we can also keep one extra button, that is delete. One small mistake that we have done is actually create icon is not required because uh, from here the end user will come, right? So when you click on create employee, so here he will come. So here again, the create icon is not required. Only save and cancel are required. So we can straight away remove. This is not required. This is not required. I'm removing it. But instead of this, I'm keeping a delete functionality. So button ID equal to ID delete, ID button delete. Anybody getting confused? So type equal to reject visibility false. So we need to add this one also in our view to controller. Initially false, and basing on if it is display, then edit should be visible, and there is a operation delete is also possible when you are in the display mode. ID button delete dot set visible true. So this is what we are going to do only today. So this is I'm stopping with this today, and the CRUD operations will start from Monday. Okay, let us freshly start the CRUD operation. So I will go scenario by scenario. There is a chance that you get confused in the these buttons visibility, guys. Okay. What happened now? So this button is not there, and that's the reason it is giving the error. ID button add is not there. Edit is there, display is there, save is there, cancel is there, delete is there. Yeah, all right. You just need to go scenario by scenario, and then the things will be very clear for you. This is edit, and this should be delete, right? I think I did not change this one icon. So that's all for today. I'm not doing any CRUD operations today, so only handling of the buttons visibility. Uh, Even in the next coming classes, so don't see all the buttons at a time. You need to think as an end user, okay? And scenario by scenario. Let's say in the next coming class, when I click on the edit button, so when I click on the edit button again, things will change. When I click on edit button, this fragment is a display fragment. I will remove the display fragment and I will keep that edit fragment which is filled with the data. Correct? When I click on this, I will redo this one. So I will remove this display fragment. I will keep edit fragment. And at that time, the delete button will not be there, but save and cancel buttons will appear. Okay. So things will little become complex when you are in the same view with all these things. Okay. But in this process, you will also understand how to think, what is the logic, how you need to keep your brain in these kind of all-in-one cases. Okay, so that logical ability will improve. So, any questions, guys? Okay. Fine then, we'll meet in our next class. That is, I will start the create operation on Monday. Okay. So create operation on Monday, Tuesday update operation and delete operation on Wednesday. So all the CRUD queue operations will be over. Okay. Right. So have a nice day. You enjoy your Sunday. We'll meet on Monday, guys. Bye bye. Happy weekend.